You do the right thing when nobody's watching so that you build yourself enough good karma, you build yourself enough goodwill so that 10 years later, 5 years later, 7 years later, when a nut job accuses you of ridiculous things, that good karma pretty much just does the work for you so that you can be on vacation while the nut job pretends to like donuts and work at donut shops to build themselves some good PR. Because I've never seen the accused be on vacation working on their biceps while the accuser is out here doing charity work and working for free at donut shops. It's like when a politician steps in shit and they have to make good and make the people like them again. So they make impromptu stops at donut shops wearing Levi's jeans that they normally never wear because we know they wear $19,000 jeans with ironed on flower patches. Let's get into it, shall we?
F around and find out. F around and find out. F around and find out. Find out. F around and find out.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of F Around and Find Out. My name is Elsie. I'm your host. I'm so happy to have you guys back. I'm happy to be getting back in the groove after taking the break that I did. And the message I get a lot, every time I post something, regarding an old interview of Blake, something she said, something somebody said about her, something that was insinuated. There is going to be always one Blake sympathizer. There is always one Blake Lively warrior, Ryan Reynolds warrior in my comments talking about why don't you do a deep dive into Justin Baldoni, find old interviews of what people have said about him. His interviews of him saying stuff is when you don't go around just blabbing and throwing around word salad and you just take your time and let people talk in interviews and you treat people well over time. There is something called karma. There is good karma, there is bad karma. People like Justin Baldoni have built up enough good karma for themselves that they can be on vacation after being accused of SH in the workplace. And they can have millions of people who never knew him, who never saw a project he was in, rise up, turn on their cameras, and work for justice on his behalf. So I hope you guys are happy. The Blake Lively warriors, the Ryan Reynolds sympathizers. I did find an interview of somebody talking about Justin Baldoni, somebody that worked with him. This is Madison Iseman. She worked with Justin Baldoni and Sabrina Carpenter on their movie Clouds. And oh my gosh, I cannot believe what this woman said about Justin Baldoni. So I hope you guys are going to be happy because I finally found one.
And I'm curious if they all kind of overlapped or what the schedule looked like because you had this, you have Clouds, you have Nocturne, there's Feast of Seven Fishes. Let's start with Clouds.
Yes.
Because you had a sweet post of how excited you are for everyone to see this film. And I'm just curious what it was that was so special about it and why you're so excited for everyone to see it.
So Clouds is about the life of Zach Sobiak, who passed away in 2013 from osteosarcoma. And he wrote songs with his best friend. And the day of his funeral, one of his songs hit #1 on iTunes, which was called Clouds. I mean, it is one of the most special projects I think I've ever worked on in my life. I mean, it's about someone real, and we were portraying real people. And we actually got really close with the family as well and the people we're playing. So they were on set all of the time. They had a lot to do with the casting. Their handprint is very much on the film. And actually, Justin Baldoni, who directed the whole thing, he directed the documentary, the My Last Days documentary that Zach was a part of. So if anyone's going to direct this movie, it has to be Justin. Yeah.
How was he as a director? He was on a show a little while ago, and I got a chance to talk to him, and he is just what an energy. Just like the sweetest, most genuine dude.
He's a fantastic human being and an incredible director too. I mean, he's so good at capturing, and he's the first actor director I've ever worked with. And he's so good at just capturing like just the essence and the soul to everything you're saying, and just I don't he was able to pull things out of us that I've never been able to do before.
You think that's because since he's also an actor, like he kind of knows the shorthand or kind of like knows like a language that maybe like a non-actor director isn't privy to, or just he has like an experience that's
I think
unique?
so. I definitely think it has a little bit to do with that. Also just who he is as a person. He's just has such a pure, genuine heart and soul, and yeah, he's just a great human being.
He really is.
Mhm.
We embraced at the end of the talk. He gave me a hug.
Did he?
Like at the end of the talk, he's like, we hugged, and I remember one, felt very safe, and two, man, smells amazing.
You smell
did-
so good. He is,
glad he's
yeah,
coming on it.
no,
I'm glad
he,
that's consistent.
he always smells good, looks nice,
He's just
and
always
his
put
wife is
together.
beautiful. I'm a huge fan of hers too. So yeah, his whole family. I'm like, how do you get that? What did you do right in life to get all of that?
Sometimes God gives with both hands, man.
Yeah.
Sometimes it happens.
Yeah.
But he's a great dude, and that sounds like an amazing project.
See, I found one. I finally found a video of somebody talking about Justin Baldoni and what an amazing guy he is. Do you see how easy it is when you're actually a good person? Because if this interview was from 6 months ago, if it was from a week ago, that's working the SEOs, that's working the PR, machine. This interview is from 5 years ago. It's just coming back to work for him. That's good karma. That's what happens when you're a good person. Shit just happens for you. You don't have to do anything. That's what the universe balances itself out. Okay? So if you guys really want me to go in the archives and look for interviews of people talking about Justin or Justin talking, I could find them. But it just makes your camp looks absolutely bonkers trying to call this guy a predator. Every single person he's interacted with has a complete opposite to say. And just for reference, this is what Sabrina Carpenter and Madison Iseman said about him a year or two before Madison Iseman did that interview on her own. In case you didn't get a chance to see it when I talked about it, you can take a listen here.
Well, and speaking of Justin, obviously he's been with this story now for almost a decade since he started working on this documentary and met Zach. What did he bring to this creative process to help you guys to really get into Zach's journey?
Everything. I mean,
That man has a lot of heart and emotion. He really is.
I don't think anyone else could have done this. He has known Zach and known all of these people, and he had to put someone's life in an hour and 20 minutes. I think that's the length of the movie. I'm not sure.
I think it's longer than that, I'm gonna be
I think
honest.
it's 120 minutes.
But how do you do that? That's a hard thing to do. And Zach had so many different people in his lives and relationships, and he gave everyone their chance to show that. So it wasn't just about the music. It wasn't just about Zach and Amy. It wasn't just about his family. It was all of these things combined. And I think kudos to Justin for being able to pull that off. Because
And he got Jason Mraz. Like, the man can do it all. There wasn't, he paid attention to everything. Nothing was left unattended. And I think that that's a hard thing to do.
I want to refer you back to where Madison Iseman says Justin Baldoni, as a director, pulled things out of her as an actress that she never knew she could do or she hadn't been able to do in the past. And I'm just realizing, considering Blake Lively is not a good actress, doesn't really know how to act, had she just allowed herself to go through the process like an actor and not try to pull the rug from under his feet or try to take ownership or authorship or just bulldoze her way through there, maybe she could have learned something. Maybe Justin Baldoni could have made an honest actress out of you. But no, you just had to go in there and break those walls down. And, well, guess she got what she wanted. All I really know is when people describe me to somebody else when I'm not in a room anywhere in my life, I want the person to ask the question Madison Iseman asked. Because in case you missed it, Madison Iseman quite literally said, I don't know what he did in life. Like, what do you have to do in life to get that? To get that beautiful family, to get that beautiful wife, to have those kids, to have that life, to be the kind of person he is. What do you do to get that in life? What is the requirement? What is the prerequisite? If you don't talk about me like that when I'm not in a room, I don't want to be around you. Because that is the way another human being should describe another human being when they're not in the room, to show the human experience, to show how incredible people can be. And then this man said, he hugged me and made me feel safe. And just for reference, I have the hug for you guys. It did look very safe.
so much for carving out some time and hanging out with us here on Build and being here on the show. We've got so much to talk about. I really want to get deep into this, but the first thing I genuinely want to ask, how are you doing, man? Just how are you?
Thank you for asking me, actually. I'm good, man. I'm really good. I'll be honest. I've been struggling recently because things are getting so busy, and I'm trying to just figure out how I can maintain and build and jump into these cool opportunities and also be present as a husband and a father. So when people ask me genuinely how I'm doing, I try to be real, because we all just like, oh, we're great. That's awesome. Moving on to the next question.
Yeah, things are good. Things are good.
And then, but I'm really interested, especially at this point in my life, of like going deeper. Yeah. And like, we're all good. You can look on Instagram. Everybody's happy. Nobody's depressed. Everybody's on vacation all the time, right? But the reality is, like, I'm really good, but I definitely am asking some big questions. Like, I got a little boy and a little girl. How are you?
Me?
Yeah.
First of all,
how are you, man?
First time I've ever gotten a ping-ponged right back. That doesn't happen often. I'm doing very well. It's funny. I was actually, if we're gonna be honest and be deep, let's stick with the spirit here, man.
Yes.
I was watching some of this show last night in preparation for today, and I was getting a little overwhelmed because I was intimidated. I was intimidated by the depth of the conversation, by the openness, the honesty. Oh. And I was watching. My wife comes in the room. I must have had this look on my face. She was like, "What's wrong?" And I was like, "I don't know if I got to figure this out. I don't know what I'm gonna do." And she was like, "Well, what's the matter?" And I told her the same thing I just told you. I feel a little out of my depth. And she goes, "You know what you should do?" And I was like, "No, look at me." And she goes, "You should tell him that." I said, "Tell him that." She goes, "The whole point of this thing is to be open, to be honest, to be vulnerable, expose yourself. Let him know that it worked, that you're sitting here and
bring it in, buddy.
Oh my God. Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Can I? So one, thank you for that. Two, you smell incredible. Can I?
Which he did say to Madison Iseman.
Just happened.
Isn't it amazing? Look. Do you see? Hold on. I just want to make it clear. We're two men talking about this right now. Thank you for saying I smell incredible. You smelled good as well.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
I will encourage anybody who hasn't seen this Build interview, please go check it out. It was very, very enlightening. I mean, I didn't need to know more about Justin or anything like that. But if you didn't know who he is or why he started Man Enough or just anything about him, this is like a good way to start. And it was just very cool to see like the interaction. It just looked like the most genuine thing. And even with Matt Forte, the interviewer, talking about how he just was able to just be vulnerable in the moment. Like that doesn't just happen like that. You have to feel comfortable and safe with a person. So if you guys really want me to go in the archives and find interviews with Justin, I can find them. But it's not gonna bolster Blake's claim. In fact, they're gonna quite literally dismantle it. So let me know if you really want me to stick to this mission, because this is actually more fun and less depressing and less jarring. This is quite healing. So if you want me to go on this journey, truly let me know. I would love to. Sticking to the spirit, I ended up finding this interview with Cole Sprouse and Haley Lou Richardson talking about working with Justin on 5 Feet Apart, and Cole Sprouse being a guy, even listening to, we know Haley Lou knew Justin because she was engaged to Brett Michael from Jane the Virgin. That's why she ended up working on the movie. But listen to just what Cole said as to why he decided to join the cast.
Cystic fibrosis is a pretty underrepresented community. And so it felt like a great opportunity to shed light on that. But really, until I met with the director, Justin Baldoni, I was pretty trepidatious, because if misrepresented, you can do a lot of damage to certain communities of people. So I wanted to make sure that he was familiar and passionate about the subject matter, and he just so happened to be the single most qualified person for that role. And he really helped us along with the research and getting us into character and setting up a web of connections that allowed us to do our research and meet with patients and medical professionals. And then it all seemed to ease my worries about the project. And it's not so much like I knew I was going to take it quite seriously, but the actors can only really control what they do on stage. The post-production cycle is very much out of our control. And at that point, you have to put your faith and trust into the people in that post-production cycle. And big studio interests or whatever else can really misrepresent at that point. So I wanted to make sure that the people we were working with, the team that I was going to be working with, had the same mission statement as I did.
We're very committed to telling the story of people with cystic fibrosis.
Exactly right.
What did you know about CF prior to going into the movie, and what did you learn?
I didn't know much.
Did you start working with her?
Justin, when you said he's the most qualified person to make this movie, like he is, like from a soul level. He makes short documentaries about people with terminal illnesses, and Claire was one of the people he made a documentary about. And so they became really close friends because of that. And then meeting her inspired him to make the movie.
Wow.
The word soul has been used to describe this man in almost every one of these interviews I've played. Sabrina Carpenter talked about his heart and soul and emotion. Madison Iseman, Haley Liu did the same thing. It's not a coincidence, and it's not a conspiracy. These interviews are light years, maybe not light years, are 5 years, 7 years, 6 years before this incident. Justin Baldoni married his co-star, Gina Rodriguez, to her husband. He was the officiant. That's not a coincidence. You don't just let somebody be your officiant that you worked with as a romantic partner on a show for 8 seasons, 9 seasons, however long Jane ran for, if they were SHing you left and right. And again, it's not a behavior that somebody just wakes up one day and is like, I'm going to SH her today. He wasn't just lying dormant. So I'm going to let you make your own decisions. But as for me and my household, we are waiting for justice for Justin. Oh, and hey, Blake, get closer, okay? That way you can actually hear me when I say this. You know how you said your husband does the right thing when nobody's watching? We know he doesn't, because we've heard the stuff he makes people do to get roles in movies, allegedly. This is what it means to do the right thing when nobody is watching. And this is what it means to have people talk about you in a light manner, in a good manner, when you are not even in the room. But I'm sure you know nothing about that, because people only speak good of you when you're around. I can't wait to find out what they say when nobody's watching. But you see how we don't have a single interview for you and your husband about people speaking like this about you, because it doesn't exist, because you've never shown people anything other than your ass. I hope you're having whatever kind of year you deserve, Titan. Well, we can say that's been it for today, but we know I'll probably be back again. Thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate you for being here. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And definitely leave us a comment, because we love to know what you think. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
And find out if around